sports do not happen in absence of politics. There's politics in every Olympic Games.
لا يزال الجدل قائما حول نقل أو مقاطعة دورة الألعاب الأولمبية الشتوية التي من المتوقع أن تنطلق في بكين بعد عام من الآن، وذلك احتجاجا على انتهاكات حقوق الإنسان التي ترتكبها الحكومة الصينية، والتي شدد الخبير الحقوقي فريد خان في مقابلة مع أومني نيوز على أهمية أخذ موقف حاسم منها.
I think such calls are needed and they're very important in trying to call attention to atrocities being committed against the Uyghurs in China. If Western nations which claim to stand up for human rights and defend the rights of minorities around the world, if they go ahead and attend the games in China, then what they are basically saying is that they don't really have an issue. They are, in fact, sanctioning China's treatment of the Uyghurs and other minorities, and believe that the prime minister and the government are being very cautious on this. But the thing is, you can't be cautious when you're dealing with regimes that are willing to kill their own people.
وقد وصلت هذه الدعوات إلى المسرح الكندي، حيث دعا رئيس حزب المعارضة إيرين أوتول الحكومة لبذل جهودها على المستوى الدولي للدفع باتجاه تغيير مكان الألعاب الأولمبية وعدم منح الصين فرصة الاستضافة في ظل ما ترتكبه من انتهاكات إنسانية بحق أقلية الإيغور.
Today, we've become a nation of silence, not one of principled action. Genocide is taking place in China right now. Uyghurs in China are persecuted because they are Muslim and an ethnic minority. The time has come for Canada to call on the International Olympic Committee to relocate the 2022 Winter Olympics out of China. Today, I call on Prime Minister Trudeau to actively seek the relocation of the 2022 Olympic Games. Canada should not be sending athletes to China in the middle of a genocide.
من جانبه علق رئيس الوزراء جاستن ترودو على القضية دون تحديد موقف واضح حول نية كندا بقيام دور فعلي في هذا الإطار.
In regards to the Olympics, we continue to be very, very vocal in standing up for human rights around the world and calling out human rights abuses, as I have personally in the past directly with Chinese leadership, among many others. We know that the International Olympic Committee, the Canadian Olympic Committee, the Canadian Paralympic Committee, and others are looking very closely at this issue, and we will certainly continue to follow carefully.
إلا أن السؤال الصعب هو مدى فعالية خيار المقاطعة في حال لم تنجح هذه الدعوات بتغيير الدولة المستضيفة، فاللجنة الأولمبية الكندية لا ترى فائدة في حرمان الرياضيين الكنديين من فرصة المشاركة في حدث دولي هام كهذا، وهو ما قال خان إنه قد يكون شيئا مؤسفا بالفعل، إلا أنه شدد على أهمية إبقاء هذا الخيار متاحا كوسيلة ضغط.
And moving the Olympics would be a far better option than boycotting, because you don't want the athletes who've trained for that moment to lose their chance to possibly win a medal. So while that's not something that you want to do, boycotting the games, I believe that it must be an option that is on the table, because there has to be a price paid by the host nation, in this case China, for committing the atrocities that it's committing. You can't let them get away with murder and not have them pay a price. Calls are needed, and they're very important in trying to call attention to atrocities being committed against the Uyghurs in China. All we have to do is look back in history. In 1936, Nazi Germany hosted the Olympic Games, even though at the time they had already interred Jews and other minority communities in concentration camps. The atrocities had already begun, and the Western world knew it, and yet they still went ahead and held the Olympic Games, giving Nazi Germany a great propaganda victory. And this is what China is looking for by hosting the Winter Games. They're looking for a propaganda victory, and if those nations who say they stand for human rights and for defending the persecution of oppressed minorities don't stand up and take this action, then what they're basically saying is that China is okay to go ahead and do what it's doing.